Welcome to Tints and Tones. Today, let's create this giraffe from the beginning till the end. How to paint, how to color this, how to sketch it from the beginning. Or if you don't want to sketch and only paint, you can download the sketch from the download section in the description and just paint along with me. Here I am using mostly until 90% of the video I'll be using only the free brushes and the existing brushes, and in the last 95% I'll be using only free brushes. Last 2 to 3 minutes I'll show my own brushes to give some final touches. So let's begin the video. Let's draw a giraffe. Now I'm using a dry liner brush which is a part of my own pack, my own personal brushes. Instead you can also use, it's almost similar, instead you can also use this inking brush and go to dry ink. You can use this brush as well. I'm just using dry liner brush, and any red color you can use. For this I'm using a color palette which I'll also give in the description. You can download it from there, and I'll also be giving the outline of the giraffe. If you don't want to draw the outline and skip to the coloring part, you can just download that as well. Let's begin drawing. To start with, let's draw a circle, and without lifting the pen, just hold it so that it will become a perfect round. Just resize it to the size you want. I'm just slightly moving the circle to the top. Now what we can do is, next just draw a U below the circle like this. So just roughly draw a U. So when you're drawing a U, check the starting point. So this is where the U starts, not from the half of the head. Slightly below the half, start the U curve and make a U. Now just reduce the opacity to 50% while just drawing the rough sketch. Now use the eraser brush and erase it. Your eraser, I'm just using airbrushing soft brush, and erase the lower part of the circle. Now this is the face. Let's carve it more. For example, first the eye portion. So to draw the eye portion, first let's draw eye line where the eye comes. Like this is where the eye will be placed. We'll just draw a line just for your identification purpose where the eye will come. So this line is slightly below this U, up below this U curve. Just slightly draw a U curve in a very rough manner to just know where the line comes. Now increase the opacity to 100%. Now let's draw two eye. So when you're drawing an eye, make sure it's slightly slanting, like this line, similar to this line. Just draw a U up and make it pointed towards the end, and so just drawing the same U curve below as well, but slightly making it bulged towards this end, towards the right, so that it will just denote there is an eyeball here. Even when you're drawing an eyeball, a perfect circle, so when you can draw it inside this both curves, and you see these both curves slightly tapered, it's thin towards the end. And then what happens, I'm drawing a eyeball in one corner, not in the center, not in this corner, in one corner I'm drawing. And then what you can do is just draw a small highlight here and just rough. We keep it very rough, just shade slightly with very light color to just denote the eye. Now let's draw the left eye. Similarly, draw the left eye towards this curve. So make sure you draw this eye slightly slanting. Similarly, you below and you in the top. And make sure this point touches the baseline. This is the base reference line. Make sure both the point touches this baseline. So it just gives some perspective. Now let's draw the eyeball. And similarly, just give some shadow. Give some shades, rough shades. This is not final, this is just a rough sketch. Slightly, this eye is bigger and this eye is smaller. So use this lasso tool, select tool. Make sure the freehand is selected. And just select this eye. And then click this arrow so that the eye portion is selected. After selecting, make it slightly bigger, similar to this eye. These both eyes should be equal. I'm just moving it. Now click back the arrow mark again. Now this eye is fine. Now let's draw the nose part. Now, before going on to the nose part, let's draw some eyebrow. Just small 2 lines. Hope you can see here. Just 2 lines. Just 2 lines. Now just draw 2 lines, slanting line towards the eye, like inside the eye. These 2 lines should be slightly slanting, like a tower. The gap between these 2 lines is smaller and the gap between these 2 lines is slightly wider. So that is your tip to draw. And these 2 are the nostril. You don't have to need not be a perfect circle. Just 2 lines and 2 lines here. And it is fine now. Now let's draw the mouth. Just draw a U. When you're drawing the U, make sure this U is inwards. This should be smaller than the nose portion. And just draw 2 curves here so that it looks like it's smiling. Now let's slightly adjust the curves. So this U, I'm just slightly going to adjust. So if you can see, I'm just making it broader. And then here also, I'm making it slightly broader. And here also, I'm making it slightly broader and bringing it back in. So if you can see the U reference, I'm just making the cheeks slightly bigger and the chin portion slightly lengthier. And here is the inner portion of the U. I hope you get it. And now let's erase this eye line as well. Slightly. No, need not be perfect. It's okay. Now let's draw the head portion. Let's make the head slightly smaller. So this eye should be in the center. This gap and this gap should be almost equal. It seems like my head is slightly lengthier than this portion. I'm just making it a little bit shorter. Just check your own diagram and alter it accordingly. Now, after drawing this, let's draw the horn portion. Okay, it's okay. Let me slightly tilt the head to keep it straight. Now, let's draw the horn portion. Just draw two lines like this. 1, 2. It should be inwardly curved like this. Can you see? In the center it should be thin, in the corners it should be broad. And draw it and erase the center portion. Now again go to the brush section and draw two tower like structure, just a petal like structure. Now just drawing some hairs and erasing the line over here. Now the horn is fine. Let's draw some ears. For drawing the ear portion, make sure the starting of the ear portion is above the eye line. This is the eye line. Should be above the eye line. Now, if you can see here, draw one big inverted U and draw one more inverted U. And after that, slightly adjust the lower portion. So, should be more thin in the starting portion and then make it bigger. Let's erase this. And let's draw one more line. That's it. Similarly, one inverted U, one more inverted U, and then make this portion slightly thinner in the corner and erase the corner outer line. Again draw one more line to the top of the ear. That's all. Now just giving some shadow here. Now let's make the mouth portion open so that it's like a happy face, smiling face. It's a baby giraffe, just making it slightly happier, more happier. It's more thin over here. Let me make it slightly wider and just clicking the arrow, making it slightly smaller. Use the corner arrow, don't use this arrow or else it will become thinner. Use the corner dot to make it smaller. And now let's draw some neck. So even while drawing the neck, you can just make it broader in the end. That's it. So this is the sketch portion. So the sketching portion is done. Now let's color it. So again I am going to use my base color. This is a free brush which I am giving in the download section. This is a free brush I am giving. And for this tutorial I'll be using only free brushes, which is only this brushes. If you want other brushes, you can use you can buy them from my website. The website link will be below, and I'll only use some other existing brushes. Now let's go to the palette. Let's select a color which is all from the third row. Let's start from very light color, selecting the fifth color. Create one more layer. We will not be using all the colors in the palette. It's just I am providing you the palette. I like the palette. Let's just give a base color. I'm just starting with the neck, just slightly easier. So coloring, I am giving it in a separate layer. Later on I'll remove this outline portion. I'll not be using it. If you want, you can do it. I'm just coloring it in a separate layer. And the brush is base brush which I'm using. And let's color the face as well. Now it's okay that if there is an overlap here, we can use some smudge brush to later on smudge it and not have any hard end or hard edges. It's okay if you lift your hand. I'm just trying to color it without lifting, but even if you lift, that's okay. So except the eye portion, I'm just coloring all the places. Before moving on to the ears, let me smudge it. Go back to the airbrushing, and you can use soft brush to smudge. For this video purpose, I am just using basic smudge, which is a part of my own brush. Just even if you are using soft brush, just use circular motion to smudge it. So the hard edges are gone. It's just some variation in the color, and that also looks cool. Go back to the base brush. So I'm just color blocking all the places. Now I've just color blocked the entire body. Now one more step before moving on to the painting process. Just create one layer below the painting layer. Just press this plus icon and create one layer, and use this lasso tool to select the entire giraffe. After selecting this entire giraffe, select a white color. Just double tap in this corner so that the white color will be selected. Now select the color fill. It's not filled. Let me long press the S icon again, and now use the color fill. and the giraffe will be colored. Let's bring the sketch layer in between the white layer and the paint layer so that the sketching is visible, and lock this white layer. This just gives some base color. Even if you turn off the background color, it will give some base layer. So for example, if this white layer is not there, this doesn't have any background. So just to have a background, I have created a block of color where the paint appears. Now going back to the paint layer, let me bring the paint layer also below the sketch layer and put it in clipping mask. So now clipping mask is nothing but it just paints only in this white area. Even if you paint outside the white, I'll show you. For example, I have selected some random brown color and going back to the paint layer, even if you are painting like this, it doesn't come outside the white color layer. It just paints inside that white layer. White layer means this white layer. It just paints inside the giraffe. It doesn't come outside. This is called a clipping mask. So I have put it in a clipping mask so it doesn't spread outside. Now let's start with the second layer. I'm mostly going to use the base brush only to give the second layer. Use the second row, the third color from the right, and increase the brush size to 55% and just color the corner of the body, not entirely, just the corner of the body, and make it slightly slanting like this. And again just color the left side of the nose. And go back to the smudge layer and let me also use airbrushing soft brush. Increase the brush size to 10% and slightly smudge it. Not much, slightly. After that, select the orange color, sixth color in the first row, and just do some random color blocks. Since the giraffe will have spots all over the body, just give some color blocks. Okay, the cheeks doesn't have much colors. The nose will be having, and also the foreheads. Let's color the hair as well a little darker. And this is fine. Now let's draw the upper portion of the ear as well. And one more layer for the upper portion, and again similarly to the left ear as well. Half the ear you can give one layer, and again one more layer to the top of the ear, just to give some depth. Now reduce the brush size to 11% and go back to the darker color, first color in the first row from the right, and color block the mouth area. So when you're color blocking the mouth area, just draw a outer line, don't give it inside. Now go back and select this red color, fourth color from the right in the first row, reduce the opacity to 30% and color the mouth portion. Increase the opacity slightly to 50% and color the mouth. I'm giving 2-3 layers to make it darker. Now with the same color, since it's a light, very light color, let's just give one coating to the eyeball and the nose as well, and increase the brush size to around 40% and give some cheeks. It's a baby animal, just to show some cuteness, and just giving some cheeks. Now this is done. Let me switch off the outline layer. Okay, this is not done. Let me color this eyeball as well. Now go back, switch it on back, and I'm moving on to the dry liner brush. You can use alternatively the inking brush, dry ink brush. For now I'm using the dry liner brush. And then what I'm going to do is choose this first color in the first row from the right and switch off the eye layer, or else reduce the opacity at the minimum, like around 15% should be fine. Now keep that as a reference. Go back to the painting layer, create one more layer, put that as well into a clipping mask, and let's draw some outlines. So I'm just drawing some outlines to the eye. Some eyelashes as well, only in the corners. Just the outline of the eyeball, not entirely. We are not going to use this brush. Go back to the color, select the fourth color from the right in the first row and give some shapes to the nose. Only in the top portion I'm just making some outline, not entirely, and also the mouth portion. Finish the mouth portion with the same color and give some depth to the nose. Now let's give some outline to the horn as well. Just random lines, not even lines. So I'm just doing up down motion. And giving some shapes to the ear portion as well. Using the pressure, you can vary the width of the line. Use the hard pressure, more pressure to make it thicker, and even to segregate between the mouth and the body. I'm just giving some shapes. Now go back to the painting layer, go back to the base color and select this green color, third color in the first row. To give some variation, let's increase opacity to 100%, reduce the size to 10% and color your eye. Just leave some small portion as highlight and color your eye. In both eye, I am leaving some highlights in the corner. Now go back to the first color in the first row from the right. Use the same brush and color only leave some corner green portion and color the center ball. So just one round, create one round, leaving the corner portion as green, making it more darker. Now let me use the same brush to just slightly Make the corners a little bit dark. Now the giraffe is almost, the first layer and the second layer is done. Now let's duplicate the paint layer to make it slightly darker, and then select this N button and move on to color burn, and then reduce the opacity to around 65%. Now it just gives some contrast. Now again go back to the paint layer. Use your two fingers to merge it. Just swipe like this. If you do, it will get merged. Let me repeat it. Just use your two fingers to merge it, and then go back to the brush and select the orange color, sixth color in the first row, and then color the corner of the eye wherever there is green. It's okay if it comes to the brown color, just gives some variation to the eyeball. Now it looks fine. Go back to the dry liner brush. You can use your inking brush, dry ink brush. Select a pure white. Double tap in this corner, you will select a pure white. Now just color this highlight portion with pure white and a small dot in the center. Now it's almost done. Let's give some variation to the nose. Select the second color in the third row from the right. Go back to the airbrushing soft brush. Go back to the layers, create one new layer and just reduce the opacity to 40%, increase the size to 6% and just color the nose. Go back to the color, select the fourth color from the right in the first row and color the nose in the front with a very light pressure, just coloring the nose and the cheeks. Now again put this, not this, let this begin normal. Select a new layer and this nose is slightly darker. Go back to the nose layer, select the N, reduce the opacity slightly to around 62%. Go back to the new layer which we created just now and go back to the colors. Select the first color in the third row and in this new layer put it into multiply. Colors is also the first color in the third row and reduce the brush size to 2%, increase the opacity to 100, not 100%, around 50% and color the lower portion, the portion below the jaw, so that you can see some shadows, differentiation between the jaw portion and the neck portion. It creates some more depth. Go back to the colors, select the sixth color and color the ear half of the horn portion. I mentioned it as ear, the horn portion. Just color the left side of the portion. That's it. Now go back to the outline layer. This was the outline layer where we gave some outlines. You can go, let me also use the drying brush. Where is the inking brush and drying brush, and give some shape. Select the third color in the first row from the right and give some shapes to the nose. So these small shapes matter to give some structure to the nose. Give some eyebrows. Now let's switch off the initial outline layer which we gave. You can give outline wherever you want. It's not needed that everywhere I don't prefer outline everywhere, to keep some soft texture to it. So wherever I feel there might be a dark shadow, there I'll give outlines. Not everywhere. Now go back to the airbrushing, click the soft brush, select the fourth color from the right in the first row, give one more layer of depth. Just use light pressure, increase the brush size to around 9%, increase the opacity to around 72%. No, this is too dark. Decrease it to around 40%. Decrease the brush size to 4% and give one more layer of depth. This I'm using it with a very less pressure. I'm not using a very with more pressure. It's just a pressure sensitive brush. I'm just giving some shadow to the left portion. Now if you feel this is too dark, again you can go back to the layer and slightly reduce the opacity to 80%. This should be fine. Now create one more layer, put it into clipping mask, again go back to the inking layer, select the dry ink and I wanted to give some outlines. Select the darkest color, brown color, first color, and give some outlines to the head. Let's make the eye a little bit darker. Let's make the eyebrow a little bit darker. And that's it. Now this is the final drawing which you have drawn. Hope you enjoyed the painting.